Hello Duelist, Tombox
and Oscar here.
And today we're going to be giving you a set preview of Crossed Souls.
We're going to be discussing the main archetypes, the notable cards, and the major meta cards that are coming into this set. So starting off, we're going to be discussing Zephyra. So Zephyra is the new pendulum archetype that has a lot of hype around it because it's a pendulum and they actually steal monsters, so all their monsters are based off of other archetypes like Shadows or Satellar's or Necros. And the deck just looks really interesting in general because it looks like it has a lot of options. The main card we're going to be discussing is the field spell. Oracle of Zephyra is their field spell, and it's a secret rare card, and it actually replaces itself, and then it has some other effects like bouncing a card on the board, etc. So I feel like this card is going to be played at 3 in the deck, and it'll probably be around $15 because the deck is just not that great.
Yeah, most of the rest of the Zephyra set is actually common, so you can pretty much pick it up for free at Sneak Peek.
Yeah. And
I don't think a lot of people are going to want to keep the Zephyra stuff. So for Burning Abyss, we're actually getting 4 additional cards. There's going to be 2 level 3 monsters, 1 fusion monster, and 1 spell card. The spell card is the fusion spell to get the Fusion Dante. One of the cards is a rare, Barbar. He's actually really bad. Honestly, yeah. Unless you want to tech him in, that's up to you. When he's sent to the graveyard, he banishes. You can banish 3 Burning Abyss cards.
Up to 3.
Well, up to 3, and then burn 300 for each card, so up to 900 burn. I don't know if you want to actually get rid of your Burning Abyss cards, but if you do, and if you're in time, you know, it's a considerable tech. He's a rare, so you can pretty much pick him up for free at Sneak Peek. The next card I want to talk about is Draghig. He's like the combo breaker of BA because he's not a rare. He's a level 3 super, but he's actually really good. He has the effect when he's sent to the graveyard. You can take one of your Burning Abyss monsters and put it to the top of the deck. So stacking it up so that when you mill with your Dante, you can mill something that you do want instead of gambling on some of your staples. He can actually set up plays if you're on the offensive. Say you have a Wing Blast, you can Wing Blast, send him to the graveyard, and then stack a card, then use Dante's effect to say you stack the Seer to revive like a Virgil that's in your graveyard. You can actually set up really big plays out of this card. And that's why I think he's a lot better than the previously mentioned card. Of course, we have the next card before getting to our big fusion monster. We have our fusion spell, Terminus of the Burning Abyss. This card, like, it's just pretty much, you can only fusion summon a Burning Abyss monster out of the extra deck, but it also has a graveyard effect where only during your main phase, now you can't use this during like damage step or anything, you can banish this card to have one of your Burning Abyss monster gain 800 attack and defense.
so it's a pretty good degen out actually. With Sir and Terminus, it'll be a degen out.
Yes, so like, I know BA like really likes to special summon. Since all their cards can special summon, having a Jinlock out is, I don't know, it's a considerable tech. Of course, now we have Dante round 2, Electric Boogaloo. Well, Dante the Pilgrim of the Burning Abyss. This is I guess the next boss monster. Honestly, he has a very specific requirement. He needs 3, I believe he needs 3 different Burning Abyss monsters to fusion summon him out. And the only reason why this card's actually really good is because Burning Abyss themselves are really good. Yeah, because they replace themselves. So if you actually open with a Seer, a Graph, and a Skarm, or the previously mentioned cards, you can fuse them out, pretty much get Big Dante, and then get 2 other Burning Abyss monster out by using that fusion spell. And then now you can make the next Dante. So you can actually have Big Fusion Dante and Exceed Dante together.
You can have Big Brother Dante and Small Brother Dante.
Yeah, it's crazy. And Dante's effect is he cannot be targeted by your opponent's card effects. During either player's turn, you can send one Burning Abyss card from your hand to the graveyard and then draw 1 card.
Yeah,
so this, yeah, it's pretty good because it allows you to proc off their effects during either player's turn and get a draw. When he's destroyed by your opponent's card, like, what does it mean by opponent's card? By battle or by your opponent's card effect? So not by your own. He will send one random card from your opponent's hand to the graveyard. So pretty much give them equal out in terms of when you lose a card. So he's a secret rare. On set drop, I'm assuming he's going to be around 25. May settle at 15 if he's not very popular. And for the spell, that's an ultra rare. I think it's going to start at 15 and then probably drop pretty low if its popularity is not very good.
Yeah, well, the problem here is that with Tour Guide being hit from Burning Abyss, they're really lacking a lot of their power cards. So they don't get the free Dante on their turn and then they make a second one. While their cards are pretty good, except for, of course, the Burning one, which is awful, they don't get another power play card. So it's not what the deck really needs right now. The deck really needs something that does what Tour Guide does, but not as strong, obviously. So while it's nice and it gives them more consistency, it really doesn't give them what they need to be a very relevant meta deck. So the next deck we're talking about is Ultra Athletes. So I know a lot of you budget players really enjoy this deck because the art is awesome and the cards are ridiculous, but they're getting more support here along with their Burning Abyss brothers. So the TCG exclusive Ultra Athletes are getting some more support. They're getting some monsters which are pretty lackluster, but their spell card, UA Signing Deal, is a special summon, so it's like emergency teleport, but it also burns you for a bit, but it really helps the archetype because they get a free special summon, which is huge, since all their cards need to be special summoned by returning another UA to their hand. They also get a trap card, UA Penalty Box. So UA Penalty Box actually changes the dynamic of the matchup significantly.
So when Penalty Box is on the field, whenever a UA monster battles with the opponent's monster, it banishes that monster until the second end phase. Pretty much that monster's gone.
Yeah. Second end phase.
It only activates once per turn. Like, another notable thing about UA Penalty Box is that even when in the graveyard, it can banish itself for you to add a UA spell card from your deck to your hand. And that's actually pretty good because it replaces itself after your opponent gets rid of it.
Yeah, it's really similar to that Volcanic card that was released in the previous set, where it was kind of a card that changed the dynamic of a matchup because it was just kind of annoying, and then it would have a recovery in the effect from the grave. So there was an incentive to destroy it, but then there was also an incentive to just leave it on the field. Now
for the next archetype that we're going to talk about is going to be Yang Zings, and there's two big cards that's coming out. One's Feng, the Synchro, and the other is the Pendulum monster, Zephyr C.
So Zephyr C is their Pendulum card, and when it's special summoned, so you can special summon it with any of the Yang Jing monsters, and when it is special summoned, it can change a monster on the board to a tuner. So you can make pretty much any monster in the Yang Jing deck a tuner, which gives it a lot of versatility. And when it's sent to the graveyard, instead of it going to the grave, it'll just return back to the deck, so you can special summon it again and keep reusing it. So you only really need to play one. It is an ultra rare card though, and because Yang Jing are not exactly very popular, I probably expect it to be around $10 tops for now. So the Synchro card that they get is a new boss monster. It's level 9, it's 2800 attack, and basically it is a generic card, but only Yang Jings can really use it effectively because it has 3 really ridiculous effects. So basically the effects are based on the attributes that you make the monster with. When you make it with, say, a water and a light monster, it'll negate the effects of all light and water monsters that try to activate.
Yeah, they don't even get the activation. So the second effect of Feng is whenever it is destroyed, so this is the recovery effect, you add a tuner monster from your deck to your hand. And also it has another effect of whenever your opponent's monster is destroyed by battle, you get to special summon one of your worm type monster in defense mode from your deck.
So this is a really great boss monster. It's got some really nutty control variants to it, and it's got recovery. It's actually the best boss monster, I think, for Yang Jings, especially in the format where Necros doesn't leave anything on the board and you can make it with a light and a water and it'll pretty much kill the deck.
Yeah, like Yang Zings, they have everything. They have Bixie for water. They have the fire guy that boosts attack. They've got the wind. They've got pretty much every attribute at their disposal. So depending on the matchup of how you make Chao Feng, you can really just screw over your opponent by not giving them any effects. And considering like most of their tuners, like aside from the new guy Zephyr C to change any guy into a tuner, most of their tuners are light or dark. And being light or dark means you're shutting down Satellar Knight or you're shutting down Shadol or BA. And that's big. But this card is only a super rare, so I'm expecting that on a sneak peek, this card may be around $10-$15, but will probably drop to around $7, maybe even lower, maybe $7 or $6.
Yeah, because it's generic, but it's not really generic. It'll probably be around 6 or 7. So the next archetype we're talking about is Infernoids. So Infernoids get 3 really good cards in this upcoming set. So 2 of them are ultras and 1 of them are rare. The first ultra is Infernoid Permis, which is basically a level 1 card, and it shuffles a face down card on the field back into the deck. Now this card is really insane because it's level 1, and that's the most important level. Even though it's 0 attack, it's still, you can summon it out really quick, remove a back row threat, and then still bring out your bigger dudes from the graveyard.
And also, like the effect of spinning a card back into the deck, the card that's targeted cannot activate in response to Permeus' effect. Yeah, so it's like Goku from Fire Fist.
Yeah. So the second Infernoid monster, which is also an ultra rare, is Infernoid Deviati. So what it does is it's actually a boss monster. It's level 9, so you have to pretty much bring it out last, and it'll finish out the Infernoid summoning condition. And it Harpies Feather Dusters their back row. So it's pretty much the dream card for any Lightsworn deck. And it'll just remove all their back row, and it's a massive beater, and it'll just swing for game.
Also, it has another effect of tributing another monster on the field to negate an effect that's happening on your opponent's side. So that's really big, considering that it blows up all the back row, and then like after you have no back row, it has pretty much Divine Wrath on you at all times.
So the last card they're getting is Void Purification, and it's a rare, and it's a trap card, so it's kind of like Hieratic Seal from the Ashes, if you remember back in the Hieratic days. And it's got 2 effects. 1, on your opponent's turn, you can add an Infernoid monster from your graveyard to your hand. And the second one on your turn is you can move one of your banished Infernoid monsters back to the graveyard. So again, this is a really good engine card. However, it has a really big downside, and that is if you don't control the Infernoid monster, it'll automatically send itself to the grave. So honestly, you're only going to be able to use the effects of it once, so 1 on your turn and then quickly on the opponent's standby phase probably. And being able to keep it on the board is pretty much impossible.
It's definitely very difficult, and it doesn't have any sort of recovery in the graveyard, so if you play Reasoning and mill it, it's just gonna be gone. So for these cards, the rare, probably a card you can just pick up at the sneak peek, no problem. But for the 2 ultras, Permeus is gonna be probably the more expensive one, just like Harmadic. This one might, this one on the drop, maybe around $20. Might sell around $15 depending on how well Infernoids do. And the boss monster on the drop will be around $20 and then probably drop to around $10.
Yeah, probably maybe even around 5-ish, because honestly they would only play 1 and it's an ultra rare for underused archetype. So for some notable archetype cards, we have El Shaddoll Annoyatilis, aka El Shaddoll Annoying if you are playing Necros like me, because that card just absolutely murders Necros. Your opponent cannot special summon monsters using spells or trap cards, so it stops Call of the Haunted, it stops all the ritual spells from Necros, and stops, in the mirror match, it stops Shuttle Fusions. So it's a great card, lots of versatility, and pretty much brings Shuttles back into the matchups that it was lost in. It's actually a secret rare, so there's actually a lot of hype behind this card. I feel like on release, it'll probably be anywhere from $30 to $40 depending on where you are, and it'll probably drop back down to $20 when people realize that they only really need to play one copy of the card. And similar to Shekinaga when it was released, Shekinaga was probably around $20 when it was first released, and then it dropped back down to 10 to 15 when people realized that they only needed to play one.
But there is one thing to note, that this card only comes in secret rare, and unlike Shekinaga, Shekinaga did have an ulti version,
Yeah.
so rarity wise you might not get as many as this compared to Shekinaga's print. So that's something you should note about it. The next card that's pretty awesome, it is the generic Tellarknight monster that everyone can make with 2 materials or more, is Tellarknight Ptolemaeus. This card is gonna change the Tellarknight quite a bit. It actually changes a lot of the other decks too, because it gives every other deck diamond access. And first of all, it's a rank 4 Exceed monster. It only comes in Ultra and Ultimate, I believe, and it doesn't have much attack. Definitely not an attacker, because it only has 550 attack and I believe 2600 defense. Once per turn once per chain, you can detach 3 materials from this card and rank up. Pretty much rank it up into a rank 5 that is not a number monster, so it can turn itself into Pleiades for TCG, because we don't have Cyber Dragon Infinity right now, so we can't really abuse like OCG does. But considering that, also for also has the other effect if you have 7 materials on it, which is really unlikely. If you did not get if you did not get rid of this monster in like the 3 turns that it was alive for, you deserve to have your turn skipped. Yeah, so its effect is detach 7 materials off of this card, skip your opponent's turn. That's actually really big if you actually blow up all your opponent's back row and then go off.
If you can get that off, hats off to you, because that is ridiculous.
But considering this is a Tellarknight Exceed monster, it gives you access to Diamond for everyone, and you're only using 2 material, which is crazy.
Yeah, so it's actually a really good generic card, and it being Ultra and Ulti, and there's 2 prints, it'll probably begin at around 20 to 25-ish and settle to around 15 to 10-ish. So Harpies are actually getting another card, and it's Harpy Harpist. So it's a super rare, and because Harpies are not that played, I probably expect to see this card around $5, not more. It's got 2 effects. So the first effect is when it's normal summoned, you can return 1 Winged Beast monster and another monster your opponent controls back to their hands. So the normal summon effect is not that great, but it has a second effect, which is like Exec Saber Dark Soul. So it will recruit another Harpy monster to the hand when it's sent to the graveyard. So it's actually really good, and it's a pretty strong beater too. So Harpy players, you should be pretty happy that they're getting another support for a deck that has long past its time.
Now for another notable card, it is going to be for the Ritual Beast player. Now you get a new boss monster. This card is like Heraclinos from Gladiator Beast. So we're getting Ritual Beast Ulti Gaia Pelio. So this one, slightly different from the other boss monsters, the other fusions. This one requires one of your fusion monsters, one of your tamers, and one of your spirit beasts. And the effect of this one is to banish one of your Ritual Beast cards from your hand, and it can negate Spell Trap monster effect. And that's pretty much everything. That's almost exactly like the counter traps that we get for all the other archetypes. Like, so telling us you have like Alpha, your Senjus, you have your secret move. So for Ritual Beast, you get this big guy. And he's pretty amazing actually, but he comes in ultra rare. But considering that Ritual Beasts right now, they're not considered like a top tier deck, but they are quite popular. So on set drop, I'm assuming this card is going to be around $15, and then probably settle around $8. It does come in ulti as well, so if you want a higher rarity, go
ahead. So there's going to be a lot of copies of it floating around, and not much demand since they would probably only play 1 because it has a 3 monster condition to summon. So yeah, probably around 8.
Okay, so for other big notable cards, most of these cards are secret or ultra, and most of you guys are probably wanting play sets of these, is Jar of Avarice, Now I'm gonna start with Jar of Avarice. Jar of Avarice is a trap card like Pot of Avarice. It shuffles cards back into the deck and then gives you a draw. Now the difference is Jar of Avarice can shuffle 5 cards, any 5 cards, doesn't matter whether it be monsters, spells, or traps, and then you can draw a card. So it allows you to recycle your deck. This card comes in secret, and I'm expecting on set drop to be around $30, $35, and it might settle around $25. This card is actually really good considering that every deck can potentially play it and actually recycle their stuff. Like Satellar Knights will probably play it and they can shuffle up all their Altaires or whatnot. But it can save you from like decking out, and like aside from saving you from decking out, it'll actually build your plays back because you actually put in some useful cards. And I'm considering playing one in my Satellar Knight deck. And yeah, so really good card. Probably got a lot of hype to it right now.
It looks really good in Shadows too, because Shadows mill through the resources so quickly that being able to replenish it and even draw a card is a really good card to begin with, especially because you can return some of the fusions and maybe El Shaddai Core back into the deck.
Yeah.
So the second notable card is Ghost Ogre and
Snow Rabbit.
and Snow Rabbit. So Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit is a hand trap. Now it's also a tuner, it's level 3, it's psychic, but the most important effect is that when opponent's monster activates an effect or a spell or trap card that's already face up activates, you can send it to the grave and destroy it. Now keep in mind that it doesn't negate the effect, but against certain matchups, especially against Cliffforts with their new card that we're going to be discussing later, it will be a very, very good tech card, and a lot of Necros players are going to look to pick it up because it's just a very good out, and they don't have to set it like MST. It's also a secret rare, and the biggest part about it is that secret rare with lots of hype, and this is probably one of the biggest money cards of the set. Right now, pre-release purchases on notable websites like Troll and Toad, it's around $100. And it'll probably realistically on the sneak probably be around 60, 70-ish, and it'll probably settle around 30-ish.
Now this is the next big hand trap, and considering that you can actually stop a Clifford player like before, like say they went first and you have this card in your hand, they would do a scout play, they immediately lose their scout and you didn't even have your turn yet. That's crazy. Yeah. I can see why it's really hyped up. I kind of want to play set of these
I definitely
cards.
want to play set of this at the cost of my wallet.
Nah, I don't want to go that far. But another crazy card that's coming up that's being compared to MST is Galaxy Cyclone. Galaxy Cyclone is actually a very amazing card. It's pretty much like a 2-time MST. So the effect of Galaxy Cyclone is you can target a face down, target one set spell or trap in the bat and destroy it. Now, of course, it only targets sets, but in the graveyard, you can banish this card and then target a face up spell or trap and destroy that. A lot of the decks like Infernoids, they can't play MST very well because if they mill their MST, they can't get the utility out of it, and that's a lost cause. But if they mill Galaxy Cyclone, they can use Galaxy Cyclone to pop like Vanity's Emptiness or like big like floodgates that are actually preventing them from playing. So to them, this is a much better choice compared to MST.
And it's also a secret rare. Big surprise, Konami.
So this one, I'm expecting on set drop around $30. I'm expecting them to settle because I might actually expect this one to be reprinted a lot earlier compared to most of them. Yeah. So this one might settle around $20, especially unless Infernoids like top like really crazy. If they top like crazy, you can expect this card to actually shoot up with it.
So finally, the last card that Konami really screwed North America with is an ultra rare, and it's called Lose One Turn. Not lose a turn, but lose one turn, which is, I'm absolutely livid about this. But Lose a Turn is the floodgate that we've been waiting for after Skill Drain and Emptiness have been hit. Basically, when you control no special summon monsters and your opponent special summons a monster, his effect is negated and it'll change to defense mode, essentially making a lot of special summon boss monsters worthless. So cards like Necros of Trishula are pretty much worthless in the face of Lose a Turn.
Yeah, like if you think about Shadol Winda, putting her in defense, but she only has 800 defense. She'll get run over right away.
So it's an ultra rare card. I think it'll probably be around 40 to 50 when it's been released, but it'll probably realistically sell around to $30 considering Ultra Skill Drain was only 30.
Yeah, and this card does not have an ulti print, so you can expect it similar to Scout on release. Scout was released around $30 to $40. This one is going to be around the same one, just judging by that as well.
Especially because it's a generic trap, and it's a really good trap, and a lot of people are going to want to pick it up.
Well, that's it for this set preview. If you like this video, please give us a like.
If you want to see more videos like this, make sure you leave us a comment.
And don't forget to subscribe. If we missed up on anything that you wanted to hear about, of course, leave a comment as well. And until next time, please hold on to your MST.TV.